Mahima Singh, I want to come to you first up because the finance minister spoke to Network 18 just a short while ago, and she was very critical of the state of economy that the UPA left it for the NDA, and now the government feels strong enough to say that we will bring a white paper that will put numbers to paper, and it's going to show to the country the state of the economy in 2013-14 versus what it is now, but particularly to highlight the Herculean task that they had to put together to lift economy from fragile 5 to the top 5. This is an indictment by the Narendra Modi government of what went on under the UPA.
Jai Hind, it is fair enough that the government, and it is I think high time that the government brought out white papers on economy, and there are very relevant questions that are hovering for a very, very long time in this Anyayakal of 10 years that has ridden this country. I think the finance minister should first answer the question why, they are boasting about IMF, and you just mentioned about that. Why did the IMF have to warn the Indian government in December that India, will cross 100% of general government debt, will cross the GDP, that debt will cross GDP by 2028. Why did that warning come? Why has the gap between the allocations, budget allocations and expenditure been ever so widening over the past 10 years? Why before 2014 the agricultural growth rate was 4.6%, which has now declined to 1.8%? Why the expenditure on education was 4.55% in 2014 and now it is 3.2%? Why the allocation for SC, ST, OBC and minorities is ever so declining over the past 10 years? Same for the defense, same for education and healthcare sector. The allocations have, and the expenditure pertaining to that has declined continuously. And the unemployment today, Shivani, is at a 45-year high. This government has made 3 crore Indians lose their jobs. And I don't know,
I'm sorry, 1 second. Maima, I'll accept everything else you're saying, but I think this unemployment being at a 45-year-old high, you have to quote the numbers. And I think...
No, it is.
Which number are you quoting?
In fact, our president, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, has questioned through his tweet.
No, madam, I know the number that you're referring to. That number talked about 2017 figures. That number is from an independent agency. You have to quote those numbers, and we have to be able to put in context the relevance of those numbers. The government denies those numbers.
All right. Let me go ahead.
Yeah.
The household savings, Shivani, the household savings are at a 50-year low. We want to question why is 5% to 18% GST imposed on essential goods like flour, pulses, rice, milk and vegetables. You see, the white paper is essential because we want to know the truth of allocations against MG Narega.
Okay.
We want to know the truth of ever so declining allocations for women and child development, and the declining expenditure on women and child.
I get your point, and I'll take that to Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's joining us. But ma'am, the question I asked you was this: the finance minister's import, and this is something the Prime Minister has said on the floor of the House earlier, and in an exclusive interview to Network 18 earlier, that the state of economy that the UPA left it in, with NPAs burgeoning, with as the finance minister, ma'am, let me finish please, with the banks becoming black holes, with those oil bonds and the cost to the exchequer never being fully revealed, the burdens that were imposed on the economy, while we could have done so much better in those 10 years, we struggled and it was left in tatters. Please respond to that.
Let's talk about electoral bonds. When you talk about oil bonds, which the government talks. You see, let's talk about electoral bonds. Let's talk about the opaque schemes that this government has brought.
I'm sorry, I'm having to interrupt you. I cannot have the debate deviate to electoral bonds. Let's talk about the economy.
Not at all deviating. When we are talking about the movement of money, you will have to talk about the opaque ways in this government has trailed the money and deviated
party
the course
funding is
of
not what I'm discussing. Ma'am, please, Mahima Singh, party funding is not what I'm discussing. Please focus on the economy.
You see, bit by bit, I exposed the claims this government has made on the floor yesterday, and when they bring out the white papers, it will be essential to answer all these questions.
Okay.
I have compared data, few of the huge fallouts this government has had over the past 10 years. I have just mentioned few of those, and I think when the white papers come out, there are essential plethora of questions that ought to be answered by the government.
Okay, the Congress is fine enough with the white paper, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, they welcome it. It's an exercise that ideally every government should do after 5 years. This government has had continuation of 10 years. It is confident enough to do so, fair enough. But let the white paper come and let the public see it before you make judgment and evaluation over it.
Yeah, Shivani ji, we should ask if they are so confident and they want the white paper that every government should have brought it. They should have brought it before 2014. The only one figure I'll quote, when in 2014 Indian economy was classified under the fragile 5, the inflation was in double digit, the corruption was at its peak, the benefit people were getting without direct benefit transferred to their bank account was getting transferred to their own party workers and the people who were their beneficiaries, not the actual targeted beneficiaries. One figure also I will quote, that between 2006 to 2012, when the UPA government was in power, there was phone banking, and about the outstanding loan between 2006 to 2016, the outstanding loan went from went to about 58 lakh crores outstanding loan, and the maximum NPAs arose from that amount outstanding loan. Within 6-7 years, multiple times outstanding loan from the banks went up, and there was no quality check on the bank. It was the minister who were calling the shots and calling on the phone, give this XYZ a loan, and without any checking of what is the project, how it will be repaid, what is the collateral security, all these loans, and that was the reason that our banks were in a very bad situation. So economy was a fragile 5, inflation was at its peak, the sentiment about the country was lowest, there was indecisiveness at the Prime Minister level. Globally, India was considered to be in a very bad economic situation.
Can I come in now? Gopal Krishna Agarwal,
highly undercapitalized.
Gopal Krishna Agarwal, at the same time, the criticism is that while the current government projects everything as absolutely hunky-dory, the reality on the ground and on the streets is different. Why does the government also not acknowledge there are certain issues that persist? I am not going to harp on the evergreen issue of inflation. I think on inflation, the government's record is pretty decent despite upheavals globally and otherwise. But for example, unemployment and jobs, the distress that has been caused to the public and to how much we have been able to recover that are real questions.
Yeah, Shivani ji, I'll come to this question alone. We never shy from acknowledging the challenges. If we are shy from acknowledging the challenges, how we are working for them? If the finance minister says that we are spending 11 lakh crores on infrastructure, we are spending a lot more money on the railway corridor for the industries, PLI, all these Mudra loan, then self-help groups, women empowerment, Vishwakarma, Vishwakarma Yojana to help the small businesses, 18 small businesses like small businesses, the cooperative sector is being helped. So the challenge of the economy for creating employment is definitely in our side.
Okay.
How do you tackle this?
Yes.
FML said you cannot give a government job to everybody. There are 10 lakh jobs vacant, and this vacancy of jobs is not from our side. It was in 2010. The UPA government stopped recruiting people in the government departments and PSUs.
Okay, all right.
And it has accumulated now 10 lakh jobs, and we are filling that.
But one second, ma'am. Two of our guests have not spoken. No, one second.